I'm Hannah, and this is Wonderful World of Teaching. Before I became a teacher, I actually spent many years as a substitute teacher. I got my credential during a time when a lot of districts weren't hiring, and so because of that, I entered into substitute teaching. I was very disappointed right away because I felt like I'd worked so hard and thought I was just guaranteed a teaching job as soon as I graduated. So even though things changed and I went into substitute teaching at first, I realized that was probably the best thing for me. I learned so much in substitute teaching, and so this video shares a little bit about all of those lessons and how substitute teaching taught me to be a better educator. When I became a substitute teacher, the first one was make an impression. That was a huge thing. I recognized that as a substitute teacher, I was walking onto school campuses that I eventually wanted to teach at. So I took this opportunity, made sure I dressed for the role. I was very professional. I always showed up early to my teaching assignments. Not only did that help me kind of understand the lay of the land, what was going on, where things were, the bathrooms, how to navigate everything, but also see if there was sub-plans, because sometimes I'd walk into a classroom and there'd be no sub-plans there. So arriving early allowed me time to greet the office staff, sign in, kind of take a walk around the campus, see if I needed to know where the library was or anything like that. Then as I entered the room, assessed kind of what I was working with, what the classroom was laid out like, if there was a whiteboard that I could use, if I had to use a projector. During the time I was substitute teaching, it was kind of in between old technology and new technology, so I had to learn how to use our old projectors and then the new smart boards that were all the rage. So I would check to see if there were sub-plans. Most of the time there were. Some of the districts I worked for had a requirement that teachers have sub-plans, and if not, I'd just reach out to like a neighbor teacher to see if they had something I could also work with. As I worked more as a substitute teacher, though, I learned to be prepared. So instead of just assuming that there'd be sub-plans, I started to prepare and bring things. I'd bring books to read aloud. I recognized there's probably going to be books that students could read during quiet read aloud time. If they had specials that day, that was always built in. And then math books, usually kids were working, so I just continued doing that. So sometimes I'd have to kind of build out the day. Usually, if anything, the teachers at least had a schedule of what the day looked like before, so I could tweak that a little bit. But always being prepared was a huge thing. So I used to carry a bag of tricks, that I would call it. I'd have a couple different books in there. Sometimes I'd let the kids vote on them. I would also bring some fun little like gadgets or things to play with depending upon which grade level I was going to be in. And then I always did brain teasers or jokes. So I think I had a joke book in that as well. So coming prepared and arriving early were two of the things that I really learned being a substitute teacher. The other lesson that I learned really quickly was classroom management. As I shared, sometimes teachers had sub-plans and oftentimes they had classroom management, what that looked like in their classroom. So throughout my experience being a substitute teacher, I was able to try that out, try different classroom management styles. Sometimes it was opening a toy box that would play sound. Sometimes it was ringing a bell, clapping. There was all sorts of things. But what I learned was that students learned best when I shared out ahead of time my expectations prior to expecting them. So I wouldn't just ring a bell and say, okay, it's time to clean up. I would always let the students know, okay, we're going to be working on this project. We have about 10 minutes, or we have until 10:30 to work on this, if it was an older class where they could kind of see the time and be able to read it. And then this allowed students to be aware that these were my expectations, this is what I'm asking of them. And then when it got close to that time, I'd let them know we have 2 or 3 minutes left, just to prep them before I ring the bell or whatever it may be. I eventually started including some of these into my own bag of tricks. I'd bring a little music box, I had a bell with me, and so in case students didn't have a classroom management plan, I would be able to kind of practice some of these skills that I was actually learning from other teachers just being a substitute. The other tip that I learned that helped me be a stronger teacher was how important student relationships are. So each day as a substitute teacher, you're often walking into a new classroom, sometimes multiple classrooms each day. There was a few times where I would be a roving substitute because teachers would have like an IEP, the school would have an IEP day, so I would just go into each classroom and substitute for a little bit. So one of the key things I learned was I challenged myself by the end of the day, I would learn all of the students' names. And this was a huge thing. It didn't work for middle school or high school if I subbed those, but for elementary where I had the same kids all day long, my challenge was that I would try and really learn these kids' names. I felt it was really important to use students' names. Oftentimes they kind of get away with like, oh, a substitute's here, they don't really care about who I am. But I use this as an advantage of using the student's name when I was talking to them, giving them positive feedback if they were doing a great job, reminding them by name if they needed to refocus. And I really feel like using students' name is an essential piece and so important, right? We never hear anymore, hey, you go sit down, or hey, you go grab a pencil, but we use students' names as a way to acknowledge who they are and validate, and I recognize correct pronunciation of names too. So if I said it wrong, I'd ask the student to help me say it correctly, because I recognize that that's also key. Throughout the day, I'd also do some fun things. That's kind of part of my personality. I would have brain teasers as students were coming in or before they went out. Sometimes I'd do like guess the word, and kind of like hangman, but I guess hangman's not a big thing anymore. We don't say that. So guess the word and just have the kids kind of a little engagement, something to kind of keep the day flowing, but also add an element of fun and like, hey, the substitute teacher's here to expect that we get work done, but also to have fun. And I feel like balancing that was something I learned as a substitute teacher, is how important it is to get those substitute plans done for teachers, but to also add a little bit of fun. And through building relationships, I felt I was able to do that really well, that the students respected who I was, so I could get those sub plans, which then allowed me to continue being subs for that school or that teacher. Another key tip I'll just share with you is if you're still a substitute teacher looking to be a teacher, is if you're able to keep those sub plans. A lot of times teachers don't reuse them, or they have them on their computer they can print out, but I used to keep them as just a way to remind myself of classroom management strategies or teaching strategies or fun activities that the students were doing, so that I could use this later in my teaching. And I also kept a journal, a record of all of the things that I experienced, the funny things, the hard stuff, and that just helped me my first couple years of teaching to reflect back and be like, wow, that was something I went through, I'm going through it now, and it's a little bit easier. So if you're a teacher and you were a substitute prior, let me know maybe a funny experience that you had, or if you're currently a substitute teacher looking to be a full-time educator, share below what grade level you are interested in. I'd love to cheer you on and connect with you. You can like, subscribe, and share this with anybody that you feel might benefit from it. I'll see you at the next one.